Happy holidays. My gosh, I wish it was cold here because we're entering our second week of a heat wave and I am so over it. But welcome to my final Q&A of the year. I asked you guys on Instagram if you had any questions for me and you did not disappoint today. There were so many good questions, so I feel like I'm gonna have to kind of speed through some of them a little bit because I chose a lot. Starting off with a really interesting one, CWJ wants to know what my thoughts are on sponsors that haven't got anything to do with Lego. So I guess if you've been watching the channel, especially this year, I have definitely been reached out to by a lot more companies that have nothing to do with Lego, who are very generous and kind enough to sponsor the channel. For me, it always depends on what the brand is, but anytime I see something in a creator's video, like I just get super excited for them. I'm like, congratulations. Like I love watching when my friends post or other Lego creators that I watch and I see that they've been sponsored by someone. I mean, one of the big ones earlier this year was, I guess, 2K for Lego 2K Drive, although that I guess is affiliated with Lego. Another big one was Twitch. I was lucky enough to be included in that one, and being sponsored by Twitch and having a Twitch partnership this year is definitely one of my career highlights. It's one of the best things, I guess, looking back at 2024 and even just my time on YouTube and becoming, I guess, like a proper Lego influencer and things like that. It is something I'm incredibly proud of. Never thought I'd be able to say that, yeah, I've worked with Twitch. Like it's absolutely insane. And then there, of course, there are smaller ones like things like HelloFresh, BetterHelp. Manscaped's always been one of my favorite ones to make just because I feel like I can have a lot of fun with it. But I think it's really good for the Lego community because if brands are seeing the Lego space and Lego content as more mainstream now and ones that they want to sponsor, I just think overall it's going to be really beneficial for the community. Because when I see non-Lego affiliated brands and sponsors inside Lego content, it reassures me just how big the Lego space has gotten, and that I guess like content like my own and like all of my friends is really respected out there by a lot of brands and is treated like a lot of other more mainstream type of content. And I want to thank you as well, because all of the support on the sponsored content and things like that is so incredibly helpful. Taylor Swift haters, block your ears, because Milo wants to know what my favorite Taylor album and song is, so I will keep this quick. At the moment, I am absolutely loving Reputation and Lover. I could not stand both of those albums when they came out. I just thought that the lead singles were not very good. However, they have become some of my favorite albums. However, my favorite songs of all time are All Too Well, Style, and then I guess most recently, I love Miss Americana. It's such a good song. Anyway, moving on from that, Edwin wants to know if I have any plans to visit Universal Studios Hollywood during the holidays. I do not, unfortunately. I really want to go to Universal though during the holidays, whether that be Hollywood or Orlando, but I would love to go, and I want to do the really basic thing and go and meet the Grinch. Like I'm not really big on character meet and greets a lot of the time. Like if I go to Disney and I kind of encounter a character, I love having those interactions or just kind of looking and seeing them, but I'm not really one to ever like line up for that type of thing. Like it's just not my favorite aspect of Disney. However, the Grinch is just fantastic. I love seeing ones. I even saw some where it was like people asked him to be like audio descriptive, and that was so well done. The Grinch needs a pay rise. It is fantastic. I love how they engage with people. I love how in character they stay. It just makes me so happy, and I would love to do it one day. Speaking of theme parks, Katie wants to know what the best thing to eat at Disneyland is. Now for me, I absolutely love, I mean, it's technically not a food, but I really love the cold brew that you can get from Docking Bay 7 in Galaxy's Edge with like the Cocoa Puffs. I love it. I've had it twice. It is fantastic. I also love me a good beignet, but honestly, like my favorite Disneyland food is just like the kids' chicken tender meals, because I cannot eat an adult's one. I get too full. They're just the best, most processed, but also really nicely breadcrumbed chicken tenders ever. I usually end up getting them every single time. I love them. It's so simple, basic. What can I say? I'm a picky eater. Just a Banana wants to know what my least favorite movie is from this year. I found this question really fun. Compared to previous years, I have not watched that many movies this year, and I think a large part of that is unfortunately due to the writer's strike that happened. However, there are some really good ones that I can think of, so it took me a while to really think about the bad ones, and then I pinpointed it. To me, it was Ant-Man Quantumania. I didn't go and see it when it came out. I was not interested. The reviews, you know, they didn't interest me. I was not in a rush to go and see it or spend money on it. So I remember one day I was like cleaning out my wardrobe or something like that, and I put on Quantumania while I was doing that, and I wasn't really paying attention to it all that much. I was just kind of listening and glancing at it, and I hated it. It felt so messy, so disjointed. I could not care about the plot. My feet are dangling, but my chair's still too short. Zadbrix asked, do you think we could ever get a Lego Cars return? Maybe that's not Duplo. I'll even take 4+. Man, I am totally with you. I want Lego cars to return so bad. I mean, look, I love those Duplo sets. They are so adorable. If you didn't know the Holly on Film lore, big Cars fan here. In fact, that was the video that I got an email from YouTube being like, hey, you can monetize your channel now. Like it was that made a review because it just did so abnormally well back in like what, 2009. That aside, I've always been big into Lego cars. I've loved it. I have all of the characters from the original Cars movie in Lego form. I love them. Personally, I won't take 4+. Those 4+ cars look so goofy to me, and just Lego these days, they can do so amazing with the amount of pieces that they have. Personally, I want a campaign for Lego cars, but speed champions, like a speed champion / cars collab with 8 stud wide Lightning McQueen, Doc, Mater, like a Sally Porsche speed champions car. Tell me that that wouldn't be the coolest thing ever. And then alongside that, I want to create an expert Lightning McQueen. Like, come on, Lego, like surely they would have seen how well the adult Lightning McQueen and Mater Crocs did. Like, there is an audience for this. Dane wants to know what I thought of the Marvels. I hate to break it to you, Dane, did not see it. I'm gonna do the same thing I did with Ant-Man. I'm gonna wait until it comes out on Disney Plus. I'm gonna do something at the same time, and I'm gonna half pay attention to it. It looks better than the first Captain Marvel movie. I don't know, I just did not like it. I got confused in the first one, and the fact that you have to watch 2 TV shows to watch this movie, like that's insane to me. Granted, I have seen both the TV shows, but I still hate the fact that that's a thing, and I don't think that's very good or smart. Davey was wondering what's the #1 thing to do in Australia. The one thing I would do is I would go and look up Bunnings Warehouse. Like, it is such an iconic thing here. If go to a Bunnings Warehouse on a Saturday or a Sunday, and then go to the little like sausage sizzle stand out the front of the store. You don't even need to go in the store, but I would go in the store, and then you buy a sausage sizzle. It goes towards charity. You get an iconic Australian sausage sizzle. That is Australian cuisine to a T. Go and see what the hype is about. That's what you should do. Manny wants to know if I can do a tutorial on how to make the mini Marvel figures, please. I know I saw your DM as well and I responded to this, but I thought I would reply to it here as well. So for all of like I made a few little sets of instructions and like parts lists for some of the mini models that I've made, like the Diagon Alley ones from Harry Potter, because personally they were my favorite. And then same with like Avengers Tower and the Daily Bugle, because again, they were my favorite ones that I made. And I thought that they would probably be like the most popular ones. So if you're interested in the instructions and the parts list, they're all for sale on my merch store. Otherwise, the Quinjet from Marvel is just a recolor of the 2023 advent calendar, and those instructions I just found online. The Hulkbuster is like really simple, really minimal pieces. The base of him is just like the Hulkbuster from the first Marvel advent calendar, and then the rest of it, there's just a couple pieces here and there. For the most part, you should be able to just like figure it out by pausing the video, I think, maybe. The Sanctum, on the other hand, I didn't make instructions for that. It's not super easy to do. It has a lot of the same techniques as Diagon Alley, the Bugle, and Avengers Tower. There's a couple mil masonry bricks in there. Honestly, I couldn't really explain it. I might try and do a reel based off of it, but at the same time, I know that I can be a little bit lazy and slack, and I feel like taking that apart's gonna be a nightmare. So I'm gonna say maybe on that one, but I will try. Tanman wants to know what is my most exciting Lego set in 2024 so far. There have been so many good sets, but I'm so impressed with the 2024 lineup so far. It is incredible. I love the creator, like, film camera. It is iconic. And then because it's in the channel name and how much I love film photography and using film and film simulation and things like that, I'm absolutely getting that day one. I love it. Secondly, I love the roller skate. However, I looked at the price of it and it's 50 Australian dollars, 30 US. What? That's disgusting. I wanted it to get the pink wheels to make like a Barbie monster truck. I'm not paying for that. I'm just gonna buy the wheels separately off Bricks and Pieces eventually, or Bricklink or something. When it comes to Star Wars, honestly, I'm not huge on the Clone Battle Pack. I mean, the droid builds look incredible and I'm like, wow, that's fun. But there's gonna be so many people buying them that I could just buy someone's droid builds for like $5 or something. The clones, they look really cool. I still want to get more shock troopers, and I guess I could get some super battle droids, but I'm just not interested in buying this set. Like, I'll just figure it out eventually. The 4+ set's really cool. Marvel, Rocket Raccoon's creepy. Not a fan. The X-Men set though, I saw a leak of that today. I love it. Absolute cop. The No Way Home set as well. Wasn't too keen at first, besides Lizard, and then I saw that you combine them and I was like, well, I'm sold now. Harry Potter, I'm super hyped for the castle builds and Hagrid's hut. It's gonna be so good. Mikkel wants to know what my current white whale set is. I honestly don't think I've got one right now. I have been so incredibly fortunate with my Lego collection that I have been able to buy and collect a lot of the things that I've really wanted, whether that be from when I was a kid, from when I went through my dark age, or even just now. And I never thought I'd be able to reach that point. I mean, the fact that I was able to buy my white whale Diagon Alley set is insane. But it's kind of gotten to a point where there are a lot of sets that I want, but not a lot of sets that I want, if you know what I mean. Like, you know how you just kind of want something way more than anything else. It's like, no, I have to have this at some point. I don't really have too many of them left. Like, I'd really love the Black Pearl from Pirates of the Caribbean, but at the same time, I don't feel like I ever need to own it. Like, it's not one that I'm ever like, I need to get this at some point. I need to go on the hunt for it all the time. Like, it's just so expensive, and the fact that I've got Davy Jones as a minifigure already, like, I feel like I'm set. But also with a white whale, I feel like that you can only really ever have one, in my opinion, and I've had my one, and I love my one. I'm good to go from now on. Dim wants to know what my thoughts on Disney's 100th anniversary line are. I loved it. It's so sad that it's like over because we're in December, which means like Disney's 100's over. I loved it so much. It is what I'd been wanting out of Lego Disney for years, and we finally got it. Like, the villains icons was so good. Like, the Hogwarts icons, they were cool, but like the villains icons made a lot of sense for Disney. I loved that set. Also, the new Disney Castle refresh, it's grown on me a lot. I wasn't fond at first. I love it though. The CMF though definitely is one of the highlights of the year. I just cannot believe that Disney 100 happened and what we got from it. I am so grateful. The Disney camera as well. Oh my gosh, how can I forget? That's gonna be my Christmas build this year. Even my dad got excited for that set. He's like, wow, that's really cool. So, you know, that's saying something. Victoria and I are on the same wavelength here because she's asking if I can do a Mean Girls build like Regina's bedroom or similar because she needs inspo for a Mean Girls mock. Victoria, I was thinking the same thing. Now here's the thing. You know what, Lego doesn't do much of stuff for girls, but I was thinking about how the Mean Girls musical movie is coming out in January, and I was like, this is the perfect time. I saw this really great burn book mock at Brickworld Chicago, and I took a photo of it because I was like, I really want to do something Mean Girls related. I'm gonna do it in January. I don't know what I'm gonna build yet. I'll probably do like a bunch of little mocks like I have done for like other movie type of things that I've done, like the Hunger Games and Barbie and such. I am so excited for that movie festival. Absolutely, I'm doing this. It's gonna happen in January, around about the time that the movie comes out. Caitlin was wondering how I decide which big Lego purchases are really worth it. It's a really tough thing. I mean, I feel like compared to a lot of other Lego creators, I don't really buy that many big Lego sets. Like, I often see things, it's like Lego store shopping day haul, and it's like every single month, like buying the biggest sets ever. And I've just never been like that. Like, I only bought like my first big Lego set in 2020, and that was the Disney Castle. Since then, I have been lucky enough to get a couple more, like the Bugle and Mos Eisley Cantina, of course Harry Potter, Gringotts, Diagon Alley, and things like that. And for me, like, my big draw is always to Harry Potter because that's always been my favorite theme. So I guess if you have a favorite theme, maybe that's one way to kind of like knock some other ones out. But then there are things like the Disney Castle and like the new Disney Castle. I was like, wow, I really, really want that. However, for that one in particular, I was like, well, I have the old one. I don't really need it necessarily. There are so many large sets, and I feel like you really got to sit on them for a couple of months to decide if you really, really want them, because it's so easy to get caught up in the hype. If everyone's going out on release day or there's a cool promo or whatever, like, it's really, really easy to get swept up in that. So if you are debating, like, is it going to be worth my money? Am I still going to love it? If you sit and wait like 3-4 months, usually you'll get a much better idea, because at that point, it's not new anymore. It's not being talked about. And if you still really want it, go and get it at that point. And then lastly, we have a bunch of like content creator, Lego influencer type of questions. So I feel like I'd kind of just all bundle them together at the end. And the first one is from Bronson, who asks, is being a content creator difficult? How do you find motivation to keep going when you rely on an audience? And this really, really got me thinking, because it's like, I feel like I see so often people being like, oh, influencers' lives are so easy. It's not difficult, get a reality check and things like that. However, I feel like there are difficult aspects to it, and it's really hard to kind of talk about because it can be so so easy to jump on someone and be like, hey, you're out of touch and things like that. And I mean, I've even felt like that when I hear about some people talk about things. I have a friend who's a paramedic, and it's like, no way is my job anywhere near comparable to her. She is doing shift work. She is saving lives. I am so proud of her for that. It is absolutely incredible. I love what she does. It's way more impactful than anything that I'm doing. And definitely her job is far more difficult, but that also doesn't mean that mine doesn't have difficulties or challenges. Like, this type of job isn't physically demanding in any sort of way. It's just a very mental kind of job. Like, it's one of those things where because you're your own boss, you really don't take time off, or at least I don't. It's really hard for me to just like completely not think about like the next video idea or like things that are trending, or even I've had like mental battles with myself about like, what do I do with my content? Having a lot of worries about that, as well as things like the algorithm, or if a video doesn't do well. Like, I feel like there's a lot of like stress all the time because it's not a salaried job. Like, you are really kind of at the will of how many people want to watch you, and that's quite a terrifying thought. There's also the things of like cyberbullying, and like if you get a lot of hate online, or like some wild comments, or even just the fact that you're kind of like put under a microscope with that many eyes on you. Like, if you slip up or something, like there is always hundreds of people watching. And I guess like the best example of that is when I kind of like opened up about my struggles with mental health and posting that video online. That was daunting. That was the most challenging and difficult thing I ever did. Did I need to do it? No. I'm really glad I did though. But something like that, and just like opening myself up at my most vulnerable state to like criticism, was wild. Like, there were a couple like mean comments, but for the most part there was a lot of love and support on that video, and thank God I was, because I don't know what I would have done if I got like flooded with hate comments. Like, that's insane. However, my job definitely is not as difficult as other people's. There are so many people having more difficult times than me, and I am so grateful to be in the position that I'm in. I cannot believe it. It's something that I always kind of like thought about and wanted, but really never thought I would get there. So as much as I do kind of struggle with like the pressure that I kind of put on myself, whether that be financial stress or trying to chase the algorithm, or even just like starting to compare myself and my content and things like that, it is nothing compared to anyone else, and I'm really grateful for that. I really hope though that I articulated this well so that you kind of understand what I'm saying. Shout out to all my healthcare workers and teachers out there. I have quite a few friends that do those professions, and they tell me the wildest stories. I don't know how they do it. Props to you guys. That is way more difficult than anything I am doing. And going over this kind of content creator umbrella, Ark wants to know what were the biggest challenges starting out professionally uploading on YouTube. For me, like at the time I started, it was really like the boom of like a lot of female creators entering the Lego space. I hate saying it, but it kind of is true. It's like, I feel like I was one of like the first ones of like that new wave to start. So when I entered, there was a lot of kind of hate and criticism. I don't think I necessarily got the like, oh, she's not a real Lego fan type of thing, because of the fact that I had a lot of like knowledge about like the product and its history. So I think I really got out lucky in that regard. But there are a lot of like just weird comments overall, and just this like weird kind of attitude and like, I guess like perception. And then it's really eased off now. Like, there are way more female content creators. It's not as like, I guess, abnormal. Like, I know watching it as a kid, like there was no one really there. It was a very barren wasteland, man. So there was a lot of difficulties in terms of that, and a lot of people too. And I think this is really the hardest thing, which like is a very, I guess, like individual type of situation. But there was a lot of people that would discredit me and discredit my content because of the fact that I was a girl. And sometimes it still happens to this day. It would be like, oh, like she's only getting views or something. She's only successful because she's a girl. It's because she's different or whatever. And there definitely was an aspect of my channel that got people's attention, and it's because I was a girl. And I definitely have to credit some of my success to that, because it was something so simple that just made me stand out in a sea of like white men, basically. You just kind of have this one girl, and it's like, oh, that's different, and it kind of like helped get attention in some way. But at the same time, I think people took it too far. It's like, no, like, oh, you're only getting attention because you're a girl. It's like, no, I also have a knowledge base. I'm also talking about things that I find interesting. I'm trying to do something different. But you would often get comments about like, no, like that's the only reason. It's just because you're a girl. And there is nothing I hate more than hearing that. Like, it is just so degrading, so disrespectful, and that is like the worst type of comment that I could ever get, basically. And that was one of the hardest things starting out, is that I felt like I constantly had to prove people wrong. I constantly had to prove myself, even though I was doing the exact same thing as all of these other people. However, even though it's only been like, what, 3 years since I restarted, this Lego space online has changed so much, and I feel like it would be even harder to kind of get started these days because the quality standard is just on another level. And lastly, Lord Vader wants to know what was my motivation to start a channel. It was the brick show. I watched the videos so much and I watched their reviews and I was like, wow, this looks fun. I mean, back then, like, Lego YouTube wasn't really that big of a thing. Like, there was 9shroud99, the Brick Queen, the brick show. Like, it was really small, and everyone only did it just because it was fun. It was like a side hobby. Like, there was really no way to get monetization. Like, it was a really hard thing to achieve back then. So no one was really doing it for money or for clout, because YouTube was still viewed as like really weird, especially Lego YouTube. Like, wow, you're a nerd if you're doing that type of thing. So it was really just for fun. Like, I was like, wow, this is fun. I've got nothing better to do. That was really it. I just wanted to join in because I thought watching all of these videos were fun. I wanted to give it a crack myself. It was very simple, to be honest. But thank you so much for an amazing 2023. I definitely did not make as much content as I was hoping to, but I'm very excited for the new year. I'm very excited to see what comes out, and thank you guys so much for your support on the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so down below. But until next time, guys, I'll see you later.